Hello, everyone, and welcome to Egypt. A trip to Egypt has been on our mind for a really long time, and I'm honestly so excited to finally show you Cairo and a mini trip to Hurghada in this vlog. We flew from Luxembourg with a long stop in Milan and arrived to Cairo super early in the morning. Slightly exhausted but very ready to explore. This trip also felt a little bit different from our usual travels because my husband Hani actually grew up in Cairo, so it was kind of a mix of family time and vacation. And instead of over planning everything, I mostly just let him show me the country through his eyes. So this was actually my first time in Egypt and in general out of Europe. So from the moment we landed, Cairo immediately felt intense and different. So many car lanes, driving everywhere, honking every 2 seconds, people everywhere on the road as well. Felt very chaotic at first, but in a weird way, that chaos is also the whole vibe of the city. So during this vlog, you will probably see a lot of random clips of traffic and people and noise because I really wanted to capture the feeling of Cairo, not just the touristic parts. First day we spent in downtown Cairo and started with Cafe Rish, which is one of those old historic cafes that became a meeting point for writers, intellectuals, political figures. A lot of important conversations and movements actually passed through there over the years. And now we just came here to have coffee and some dessert. Passing by the old Egyptian museum, we headed towards Zamalek, which is one of the calmer and greener parts of Cairo. This neighborhood is located on an island in the Nile, and the whole atmosphere there feels completely different from downtown Cairo. It's a little bit less chaotic, more residential, artsy. There are galleries, cafes, little boutiques, and actually a lot of greenery as well. Trying pineapple Schweppes.
It's a malt beverage, like beer, but with a flavor and without alcohol.
We spent most of our afternoon there just trying out some new drinks, passing by one of the oldest trees on the island, which was apparently brought from India more than a century ago. And it just feels surreal to think that a tree like this could be found in the middle of Cairo. I really enjoyed just roaming around Zamalek and exploring all these beautiful local souvenir shops. And obviously, at some point, we had to stop for sweets because I feel like every 5 minutes in Egypt there is another thing to eat. We really ate a lot during this trip, so this was just the beginning. And I already had some favorites. Okay. Wow. This one is my favorite.
Not this one.
I didn't try that one yet, so.
It's not so sweet.
Later, we took metro for just 2 stops and ended up in this very local market that I'm just going to let you look at this video of me walking through it to experience at least a bit of the atmosphere that was there. Day 2, and we are going now to see pyramids and Egyptian museum. I'm so excited. We headed towards Giza complex, and I think I've been especially excited about seeing pyramids because I've been learning about the ancient Egypt since I was like 11. After seeing so many National Geographic documentaries, I feel like some places just become a story until you are there and it's right in front of you. And being one last remaining wonder of the ancient world makes it even crazier. Recently, with the entrance of the Grand Egyptian Museum, they opened a new entrance for the pyramids complex as well.
Egyptians believe.
We made it! From the entrance, you take a short bus and they kind of drop you in the middle of nowhere. So you have options either to take camels or horses or just walk as we did. Middle of the desert and pyramids. Luckily for us, this day was partially windy and it was around 20 degrees, so it was perfect to walk around desert. Otherwise, if it was any hotter, I think this wouldn't be possible. So I genuinely don't love the idea of using exhausted animals for tourism, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to take camels. But also, I think walking made this whole experience way more real. Just walking through the desert and slowly approaching pyramids has something very, very special in it. And of course, there was dust everywhere, wind, sand in our shoes, and I don't think there are right shoes to wear in this occasion.
We don't know what's there. There might be something.
Under?
Yeah. It's all like an excavation site.
One thing that surprised me is how massive the blocks of stones actually are. We are going to touch the pyramid. We stayed there for hours, just walking around, climbing little hills for views, watching camels pass by and other tourists, and honestly just trying to process the fact that these structures have been standing there for more than 4,000 years. Unfortunately, we didn't check when is the museum closing today, because I checked yesterday and it was closing at 9 p.m, but today apparently at 7. So we are not gonna make it to the Egyptian museum today, but we actually spent a lot of time around pyramids and it was quite fun walking and hiking in the desert. And now we are dusty but very happy, and of course my hair is destroyed from the wind. As museum didn't work out, we decided to go to the park instead and enjoy the dinner and sunset and just calm down a bit in the greenery as the contrast to the beautiful desert we spent the whole day in. Yogurt with garlic. When we were planning our trip to Egypt, we knew we wanted to spend some time at the sea, and we thought that in between some days in Cairo, we can sneak in a little trip to Hurghada by the Red Sea. We arrived to Hurghada and now we are going to the beach. I'm so excited because I saw the sea is amazing, so I can't wait to swim a bit.
and hopefully it's not so cold.
We definitely didn't have enough of Cairo, but the day started being a bit warmer than usual, so I think this trip came in the right moment, and it was my first time to experience the Red Sea, so I was very excited for all the colors and snorkeling, and especially swimming in the beginning of May, which wasn't a usual occasion for me.
I just had my first swim in the Red Sea ever, and I'm so happy because I saw a lot of different fishes, a lot of different colors, and corals as well. The water is a bit cold, but you get used to it, and I even burnt a bit.
One thing I became completely obsessed with are fresh juices, mostly mango juices. I think I drank quite a few liters during this trip, but today I tried this guava juice. Honestly, I didn't know what was this fruit before I came here, but it tasted so good and refreshing, and I just felt like fresh juices are a big thing in Egypt because you can order them in almost every restaurant and they have at least the seasonal fruit. And speaking of restaurants, in the evening we went to this seafood restaurant where you basically choose your own fish and how you want it prepared, and I'm not a big fish expert. Whatever the guy recommended us, I was fine with it, and it was a very tasteful fish from the Red Sea. Everything was so fresh, and on top of that we also had a seafood soup which was amazing. This morning we woke up very early for a boat trip, and even at 8 in the morning it already felt hot outside. But the main reason we booked this trip was to snorkel around reefs further from the shore, because that's where the water gets even clearer and the coral reefs become more impressive. As I mentioned, these days was quite windy, so the sea was much rougher and there was a lot of waves, so this meant that the snorkeling experience is not going to be as smooth as it should be. There was a lot of fish though, and some of the species I've never seen before, not even in the videos and pictures online, and it felt so surreal to see this underwater world, knowing that there is so much under that we don't see from the surface. So I really enjoy this part of snorkeling, even though, as I said, it wasn't the best moment to do it. We continued towards the Orange Bay beach, and the big boats can't enter this protected area, so we had to transfer onto a smaller taxi boat to reach the island. The beach itself was more relaxing though, and we stayed there for 2 hours. There aren't really fish or reefs there, it's more about the scenery and just laying down and enjoying. And it's just one of these beaches that you can walk for 1 kilometer and still be in the shallow water. Good morning! One last day in Hurghada, and this is going to be a short part. I just couldn't help but show you this beautiful breakfast with the sea view, and we just really enjoyed sitting here in the calmness before going to the beach. So we spent the whole day swimming and doing absolutely nothing productive, and then it was time to head back to Cairo.
So we are back to Cairo, and today we are going to explore the market and everything around it.
After the calmness in Hurghada, I think we were ready to get back to Cairo and the busy streets, and definitely this became one of my favorite areas to explore. We had a very important mission at first, and that was to find some jewelry supplies for my brand Sapore. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen this many beads, stones, crystals, tiny materials in one place before. There are good shops on the main streets, but the best ones are hidden deep inside very tiny streets that you will never find alone. I had a pleasure of going with Hani and his mom, who really knows these streets and the local suppliers. So at some moment I even felt like I was in a movie, and I was just thinking, how did I end up in this place? One thing I also loved is that so many craftsmanship still happens directly on the street. People are not just selling their products, but actually making them in front of their shops while you are walking by. And it makes everything feel much more alive, and just seeing how some products are made gives them even more value. Unfortunately for us, this was one of the hottest days since we arrived, around 35 degrees, and in the middle of the city, in the crowd, I think it was even more. But somehow this heat felt more manageable because the air is completely dry and not humid as it is in Europe. We also visited two mosques during this walk, and seeing them suddenly appear in the middle of all this movement and noise felt really beautiful and peaceful. The first one was quite smaller and was dating back from the 12th century, and the whole facade felt very beautiful and ancient, but when you step inside, due to the recent renovation, it felt a bit more new. Nice stars. And then after walking a bit, we ended up in another mosque, which was way bigger than the first one we visited, but it was still a very nice architecture from inside. At some point we were quite tired and needed some coffee, so this was also the point when I fully realized tourist pricing and how big of a difference it is. Never mind that I'm basically the whole day spending with a local. The second they see me, they immediately change prices, so I think even for these two coffees we've been a bit robbed, but that's just one of the things that also became part of the experience, I guess. We have angry kitty at home. Hmm? Cheese. It's our last day in Egypt, and today we are going to explore the Egyptian museum because, as I told you last week, we didn't get to see it, and today is actually Wednesday when it's open until 9, so we're gonna spend the afternoon there and see all the ancient artifacts. I'm so excited. I think even in Louvre, the Egypt section was one of my favorites, so I'm actually excited to see the new collection here and the new museum as well. I love that I tanned very well. And this is one of the necklaces that also my husband's mom made, so I just love putting on her necklaces when I'm going around Egypt, so they fit very well in this vibe. Final day, and we are heading to Giza again because the Grand Egyptian Museum opened quite close to the pyramids complex. It recently opened, and a lot of artifacts inside are actually transferred from the old Egyptian museum, which we saw on the first day in the downtown Cairo. A lot of pieces were never actually displayed until this moment, and they were kept in the basement of the old museum because they simply didn't have a space to display it. So with all that, this museum is now the largest archaeological museum dedicated to a single civilization. Being here just puts you in a different perspective, that there are some pieces that are so old and yet so well preserved. I couldn't believe that the colors on some stones are still remaining to this day, because I simply can't imagine that something we make in today's world could actually happen to last for 4,000 years. So just seeing some of these things just bright and in good condition made me really happy about how they preserved them and actually made this whole collection happen. I was just trying to capture every little detail that I saw and that could be interesting to show in this vlog, but it's definitely an exhibition that I would recommend to anyone who has a chance to visit it once in your life at least. Finally arriving to one of the most famous parts of the exhibition was the Tutankhamun's tomb and everything that was found inside of it. It was one of the rare tombs that was found completely intact, and many of these pieces were actually the ones that never saw light of the day until today in the museum. The gold was shining on every corner, but what was more interesting to me was also some of the jewelry pieces that were golden but combined with some gemstones. And these are some of the pieces that I feel would be so cool if we could wear something like this today. We didn't get to see everything, but this is not the kind of museum you fully see in one visit. I'm very excited to come back here one day as well. And honestly, I think that's also how I feel about Egypt in general now. Before leaving, we got probably the cutest souvenir of the trip, and that's our names written in hieroglyphs, which we are definitely going to frame at home.
That would be it from this travel vlog. I really hope you enjoyed Egypt just as much as we did, and I hope to see you soon around here again. Bye bye!